Imagine this. It's a Tuesday morning, late January. You wake up, you grab your phone. It's just a reflex, right? We all do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you try to open your banking app, check a balance.
Yeah.
And it just hangs. It's spinning. Nothing.
Ugh, the worst.
So you think, okay, fine. I'll just ask Alexa to turn on the coffee maker and check the news. But she's just silent.
Nothing.
You try to pull up a movie for the kids on Prime Video while you troubleshoot. Down. It feels like the internet itself is just sort of evaporated. But here's the kicker. Your Wi-Fi signal is full.
You're connected.
You are connected to the pipe, but nothing is flowing.
And that is a very specific, very modern kind of anxiety, isn't it? You have the connection, but you don't have the service.
Right.
It's like turning on a faucet and hearing the pipes rattle, but, no water comes out.
Exactly. And that is exactly where we are starting today. We are looking at a broadcast from Capital Radio's Cyber Afterwork, specifically a session from January 27, 2026. We're analyzing insights from some serious heavyweights in the industry, Pablo Santimaterio, Monica Valle, and Hervé Lambert.
Right.
And they are not just talking about a bad internet day. They're digging into what happens when the invisible backbone of our daily lives actually snaps.
It's a fascinating discussion because it covers the macro and the micro. We're going to look at a massive infrastructure failure that brought, a huge chunk of the global economy to a halt.
A huge chunk.
Then we're going to zoom in on how digital breaches are starting to bleed into physical safety, literally opening doors. And finally, we're going to look at this digital forest metaphor to figure out how you, personally, can survive in an environment that is, actively trying to hunt you.
Hunting us. It sounds intense, but after going through these sources, it feels pretty accurate. The mission for this deep dive is really about understanding dependency.
Yes.
We rely on these massive cloud infrastructures, and we rely on our own personal digital hygiene. And when one of them fails, the consequences ripple out in ways we just don't see until it's too late.
Precisely. It's all about visibility. If you can't see the cracks in the wall, you can't stop the water from getting in. And sometimes that water is coming from a flood you didn't even know was possible.
So let's start with the big one, the AWS outage. Now, whenever I hear Amazon Web Services is down, my brain usually goes to, okay, I can't order cat litter for a few hours.
Right, a minor inconvenience.
But the source material paints a much, much bleaker picture. This wasn't just a shopping glitch. This affected Alexa, Prime Video, banking apps, video games. It was a total domino effect.
Right, and to understand why this matters, we have to clarify what actually happened. Monica Valle makes a crucial distinction right off the bat in the broadcast. She says this was not a cyber attack.
Not a hack.
No hackers in hoodies slamming keyboards in a basement. This was a technical failure, a glitch in the machine.
Which is almost scarier, isn't it? If it's a hacker, you have a villain to blame. If it's just the system breaking under its own weight, that feels kind of inevitable.
It feels like we built a skyscraper too high, and the foundation just gave up. It really highlights the fragility of the design.
Yeah.
And to explain the impact, the experts brought up a concept that we really need to nail down. It's called the CIA triad.
The CIA triad. I'm guessing we're not talking about the spy agency here.
No covert ops. Although in cybersecurity, it's just as fundamental as intelligence work. It stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Okay.
Now, usually when we do these deep dives on security, we are obsessed with confidentiality.
Yeah.
Stopping people from stealing your passwords or your credit card numbers.
Right, the don't look at my stuff part of security. That's what makes all the headlines.
Exactly. But this AWS incident wasn't about theft. It was a failure of the availability. The data was safe. Nobody stole it. The integrity was fine. The data hadn't been changed or corrupted. But nobody could access it.
And for a business, like a bank.
For a bank, if your customers can't access their money to pay a bill or buy groceries, that is just as catastrophic as a data breach.
So availability is kind of the forgotten child of the triad.
Often, yes. We just take uptime for granted. We assume the digital lights will always turn on. But let's get technical for a second, because Pablo Santimaterio had a specific theory on what broke.
Okay.
He pointed toward the DNS, the domain name system, or more specifically, the load balancer.
Okay, load balancer. That sounds like a piece of heavy industrial equipment. Break that down for us. What is it actually doing?
It's actually a great mechanical concept, just applied to software. So imagine a massive highway leading to a major city. The city is the database. That's where your bank account info or your user profile lives.
Got it.
Now, you have millions of cars. Those are user requests from people like you and me all trying to get into the city at once.
Chaos. Total gridlock, road rage.
Right. If they all tried to use one lane, the whole system would crash.
Yeah.
So standing in the middle of the highway is a traffic cop. That's the load balancer. He's waving his baton, directing cars. You go to lane 1, you go to lane 2, you go to lane 3. He distributes the weight of the traffic across different servers so everything moves smoothly.
I'm with you. The load balancer is the guy with the baton, making sure no single lane gets overwhelmed.
Now imagine that traffic cop just vanishes. Poof.
Gone.
The highway is still there. The database is perfectly fine. It's open for business. But the cars, they have no idea where to go. They panic, they stop, they crash.
Wow.
And that is effectively what happened. The applications, your banking app, your smart speaker, they couldn't talk to the databases because the mechanism directing traffic just failed.
That's just wild to think about. The data is sitting there totally fine, ready to be used. But because one little routing mechanism fails, the global economy takes a hit.
It's like having a library full of books, but the doors are all bricked up.
Perfect analogy.
And Santopiria also points out the DNS aspect, which is similar. DNS is the phone book of the internet. It translates google.com into the numbers computers use if you lose the phone book.
You can't call anyone, even if their phone is working perfectly. You just don't know the number.
You got it.
But here's the part that I found really concerning. This wasn't just Amazon's internal problem. The source material kept using this phrase, supply chain risk. Why does my bank going down have anything to do with Amazon's supply chain?
Well, this is the dependency mission we talked about at the start. Most modern companies, even huge banks or streaming services, they don't build their own physical server farms anymore.
No, of course not.
It's too expensive, it's inefficient, it's hard to maintain. So they rent space on the public cloud, usually AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud.
So they're outsourcing all the infrastructure. It's like they're renting the land their house is built on.
Correct. But that creates a single point of failure. The experts in the broadcast were very clear on this. If you put all your eggs in the AWS basket and AWS drops the basket, you are out of business until they fix it. As the saying goes, if Amazon sneezes, the rest of the digital world catches a pneumonia.
So what's the fix? Because I imagine telling a CEO, just build your own data center, is not going to fly in 2026.
No, that's not realistic at all. The advice from the experts is all about multi-cloud strategies. It's basically diversification, just like with your stock portfolio.
Okay.
You run your critical systems on AWS, sure, but you have a failover plan on Microsoft Azure or Google.
That sounds expensive and really complicated.
It is. It's both. And it's technically complex. You can't just copy-paste your app from one cloud to another. They sort of speak different languages.
Yeah.
But this outage was a huge wake-up call.
It had to be.
Resilience isn't just about preventing attacks, it's about redundancy. If one traffic cop vanishes, you need another one ready to step in immediately.
It really just highlights how we've built this incredibly advanced society on a foundation that can be tripped up by a single writing error. But speaking of foundations cracking, let's pivot to the next story from the broadcast. Because if the AWS story was about things not working, this next one is about things working too well for the wrong people.
The Securitas Direct incident.
This one is just dripping with irony. Securitas Direct.
Yeah.
A security company, the people you pay to protect your home.
And they got hacked.
They got hacked.
It is ironic, but it's also a really stark reminder that nobody is immune. This specific incident involved a subsidiary in Sweden. And the timing, as they noted in the broadcast, was incredibly suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
It happened right after their IPO, their initial public offering on the Stockholm Exchange.
Talk about bad timing. You're ringing the bell, telling investors, we are solid, we are secure, and then bam, breach.
It feels almost targeted, doesn't it?
It has to be.
The experts hint that the timing might not be a coincidence. These things can have geopolitical or market manipulation angles, shorting the stock, damaging reputation.
Right.
But let's look at the substance of the breach. They exposed sensitive data of clients and employees.
Right.
But Pablo Santabaterio pointed out a shift here that is much more disturbing than just lost emails.
What's that?
He calls it the shift from cyber to physical.
This is the part that gave me chills. Because when we talk about a data breach, usually I think, okay, they have my email, maybe my password, it's annoying.
Sure.
But Securitas, we're talking about home alarms. We're talking about cameras inside people's living rooms.
Exactly. This is the convergence of IT information technology and OT operational technology. If an attacker gets deep enough into a system like this, the theoretical fear is, can they turn off the alarm remotely?
Oh, man.
Can they access the live feed of your camera? Can they see that you leave the house every single day at 8 a.m.?
And the source material actually mentioned a physical robbery in Paris that happened around the same time as a similar breach.
They did. Now, to be fair, they didn't explicitly prove a causal link like hackers stole the code, then robbers used it.
Right.
But the juxtaposition forces us to ask the question. If I have a smart lock and the company managing that lock gets hacked, is my front door effectively open?
It completely redefines what a vulnerability is. A vulnerability isn't just a bug in software anymore. It's a potential intruder in your hallway.
We are moving into an era where a single line of bad code can physically endanger you. And the scary part is the trust component.
Of course.
You invite these devices into your most private spaces because you trust the vendor. When that trust is broken, it feels much more personal than a bank error. It feels like a violation.
It makes you look at your smart home gadgets completely differently. I mean, I love my robot vacuum, but now I'm wondering if it's mapping my floor plan for the highest bidder.
Well, funny you should mention the robot vacuum, because that leads us perfectly into the metaphor brought up by Hervé Lambert from Panda Security.
Ah, yes.
He shifts the conversation from the corporate cloud to our personal lives.
Yeah.
He describes the digital world not as a highway, but as a digital forest.
I really like this analogy. It felt very Brothers Grimm. He says we're all walking through a forest that's filled with brambles and thorns.
Right. It's a hostile terrain. And his point is that most of us are walking through this forest in, like, flip-flops and a T-shirt. We have no boots, no map, no protective gear, the thorns or the malware, the phishing attempts, the hackers. And if you walk through a forest like that, unprotected, getting scratched isn't a possibility. It's a certainty.
So, how do we get some boots? Lambert suggests we need to audit ourselves. He challenges us to ask, who am I digitally? Which sounds like a therapy question, but he means it literally.
Right. What connects to the internet in my house?
Exactly.
And that list is way longer than most people realize.
Yeah.
Got your laptop and your phone. Fine. But what about the smart TV? The connected thermostat?
The smart bulb in the hallway?
The car in the driveway? He specifically mentions Tesla.
And the robot vacuum.
Yes, the vacuum. Every single one of those devices is a computer. And every computer is a potential entry point. Lambert calls them cracks in the wall. You have to find the cracks before the hackers seeps in.
Okay, so let's get practical. The source material gave some really specific advice on how to patch these cracks. And I have to say, some of it was a little embarrassing because it's the same advice I've been ignoring for like 10 years.
It is incredibly frustrating for security experts. I mean, we have advanced AI, quantum computing on the horizon, satellite internet, and yet the most common way people get hacked is because their password is 123456 or password 1
or their kid's name
or their birth date. Lambert notes that despite all these high-tech threats, our basic hygiene just hasn't evolved.
Not at all.
The bad guys are using machine learning to crack systems, and we are essentially leaving the key under the mat. It's like buying a steel-reinforced door and then just leaving it unlocked.
He also mentioned dark web scanners. Now, that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a real tool, right?
Absolutely, and it's accessible. You should use it. These scanners search databases of leaked credentials. See, when a site gets hacked, like that old forum you joined in 2015, the hackers dump the usernames and passwords on the dark web. A scanner tells you, hey, your email and that password you use for everything are public knowledge.
And if you're using that same password for your bank,
then the hackers don't need to hack your bank. They just log in as you. That's why you need to know what's out there.
The actionable advice that really stood out to me, though, probably because I have never done it, was the idea of a family fire drill.
This is brilliant. We have fire drills for physical fires. We teach kids to stop, drop, and roll. We know where the exits are. But do you have a protocol for a digital fire?
I definitely do not. If my email got hacked right now, I'd probably just panic.
That's what most people do. A digital fire drill means asking, if our accounts are compromised, who do we call? Do we call the bank first? Do we change passwords? And crucially, do we have backups?
And not just any backups, they emphasized offline backups.
This is critical because of ransomware. If your backup drive is plugged into your computer when you get infected, the virus will encrypt the backup too. It just jumps across the connection. You need a cold backup, a hard drive sitting in a drawer, disconnected from everything. That is your insurance policy.
It's interesting because they also touched on the psychological toll of all this. Lambert talked about spam fatigue.
It's a very real condition. When you are constantly bombarded by spam, phishing texts, fake delivery notifications, your brain just gets tired. your cognitive defenses wear down.
Right.
You stop being vigilant. You click something just to make the notification go away.
It's a quality of life thing. The stress of, is this real or is this a scam? It just creates this background hum of anxiety.
Exactly. It degrades your digital experience. And for small businesses, it can be fatal, not just financially, but reputationally. If your customers get spammed because your email was hacked, they lose trust in you.
So we've got the cloud breaking, we've got physical security systems failing, and we're wandering through a thorny forest in flip-flops. It feels like the odds are stacked against us.
It can feel that way.
But then we get to the segment in the source material that felt like reading a spy dossier. The intelligence report from VAPASEC.
This was a fascinating look under the hood. Pablo Santimaterio shared insights from their own web protection service. They analyzed actual attacks from September and October of 2025.
Right.
And what they found gives us a real peek into the psychology of the attacker.
I love the distinction he made between smart and dumb attackers. You'd think an attack is an attack, but apparently there are levels to this game.
Oh, huge levels. The dumb attackers are the noisy ones. They're bots that just keep slamming against the door even after you've bolted it.
They just keep trying.
They get blocked, they wait a second, and they try again. They are annoying, but they're easy to spot and easy to mitigate because they are so obvious.
But the smart ones,
yeah,
those are the creepy ones.
The smart ones try the door handle once, just a gentle jiggle. If it's locked, they stop immediately. They vanish.
Why stop? Why not try to break it down?
Because they don't want to reveal their location or their methods. They're testing the perimeter, looking for a silent way in. If they make noise, they get flagged. These are the attackers that keep security experts up at night, because you don't always know they were even there. They are patient.
And what are they looking for? The report was super specific about this. They are hunting for something called robots.txt and .env files. Can you explain why those files are the holy grail for these guys?
Sure. So robots.txt is a file on a website that's supposed to talk to search engines like Google. It says, hey, Google, please don't index these admin pages or these private folders.
So it's basically a do not enter sign.
Right. But for a hacker, a do not enter sign is basically a treasure map. It literally tells them, here's where the secret stuff is hiding.
No way!
They read the file and go straight to the forbidden folders.
That's amazing. It's like putting a sign on your door that says, don't look under the mat for the key, so the burglar immediately looks under the mat.
Exactly. And the .env file is even worse. That stands for environment. Developers use it to store configuration variables for their apps. It's convenient. But it often contains, wait for it, passwords, API keys, and database credentials.
The keys to the entire castle.
Yes. And sometimes developers, in a rush, they accidentally leave that file accessible to the public internet. If a hacker finds a .env file, it's usually game over.
They don't have to crack a password.
They just read it.
It's just carelessness. It sounds like so much of this comes down to human error or just laziness.
It usually does.
Yeah.
And speaking of laziness, there was that hilarious detail about the zombie user agent.
Oh, this cracked me up. The report found that a huge number of attacks were identifying themselves as coming from a computer running an operating system from 2021.
Right. And remember, the broadcast is from 2026. So that tells us something really interesting about the attackers.
What's that?
They're using old scripts. They haven't updated their attack software in 5 years.
It's automated laziness.
It is. It is industrialization. They set up a botnet years ago, pointed it at the internet, and just let it run. It's passive income for cyber criminals.
Wow.
They are fishing with a giant net, just hoping to catch someone who hasn't updated their security.
It's comforting in a weird way, knowing the bad guys can be lazy too. But the report also busted a myth about how to stop these attacks. I think a lot of people think, oh, just block all traffic from Russia or China and we'll be safe.
Geo-blocking. It sounds like such a simple solution. Close the borders. But Santimaterio says it flat out doesn't work.
Why not?
The report showed the top attacking countries were the USA, Spain, the Netherlands, and Germany.
Wait, the USA and Germany, those aren't the usual suspects we hear about in the news regarding cyber warfare.
That's because the attackers aren't physically sitting in those countries. They are routing their attacks through servers located there.
I see.
The USA and Germany have massive internet infrastructure, huge data centers. So hackers hijack those legitimate servers to launch their attacks.
So it's a disguise.
Exactly. If you blocked all traffic from the USA, you'd basically be blocking the internet itself. You'd cut yourself off from legitimate customers, partners, Google, everything.
So you can't just pull up the drawbridge.
You can't.
Yeah.
You have to filter the traffic intelligently, looking at behavior, not just geography.
But that makes sense. It's much harder than just looking at a map. Now, looking ahead, the source material touched on an upcoming event, Cyber Madrid. And what struck me was who was invited. It wasn't just tech geeks and coders.
Right.
They were bringing in magistrates, judges.
This is a pivotal shift in the industry.
Yeah.
We're moving from viewing cybercrime as a technical nuisance, something for the IT guys to fix, to viewing it as a major societal and judicial crisis.
Right.
The focus of the Congress is specifically on fraud and AI.
Fraud and AI, that sounds like a dangerous cocktail.
It is. We are seeing AI supercharge fraud. Deepfakes, automated phishing that sounds just like your boss, voice cloning.
Oh,
The fact that judges are getting involved means the legal system is finally realizing it needs to catch up. The laws we have were written for physical theft. They weren't written for a world where an AI can steal your identity and take out a loan in your name in 10 seconds.
It's a legal battlefield now.
It is. Cybercrime is no longer about computers. It's about theft, human rights, and identity. It's about who owns your digital self.
We've covered a huge amount of ground today. We've seen how a technical traffic cop failure at AWS can stop the world, how a breach at a security firm can endanger physical safety, and how we need to armor up for our walk through the digital forest.
It is a complex landscape. But if there's one thread connecting the AWS outage, the Securitas breach, and the personal audit, it's this concept of visibility.
Visibility.
You can't protect what you can't see. Amazon needs to see its traffic flow. Securitas needs to see its network vulnerabilities. And you, listening right now, you need to see what devices are connected to your Wi-Fi.
And you need to stop using 123456 as a password. Seriously, if you take nothing else away from this, change your password.
Please, and do that fire drill. Sit down with your family or your team and just ask, what if? The time to figure out your backup plan isn't when the screen goes black and the red text appears. It's now.
Here's a thought I want to leave you with, something to chew on as you go about your day. We tend to trust the cloud because it sounds soft, fluffy, ethereal.
Yeah.
We trust our smart locks because they look high-tech and secure. But what we learned today is that the cloud is just a server farm that can break if a traffic cop gets lost, and your smart home is just a computer that can be hacked.
It really redefines trust, doesn't it?
It does. In a world where your vacuum cleaner is connected to the internet, are you treating your home network with the same seriousness as your front door lock? Because right now, for a lot of us, the digital front door is wide open, and we're just hoping nobody walks in.
A sobering thought. Go check your cracks in the wall.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Stay safe in the forest, everyone.